DCU, not the DCEU, but the DCU,
renamed,
is finally here with its first official released project under the new regime over at DC. And that is an animated project. Interesting, right?
Yes.
And the show is Creature Commandos, following a team of monster villains.
I do have a soft spot for animation in general, and with the first couple episodes of the show, I've really taken to the voice acting. I mean, especially the main cast, their voices are so good. And then the characters themselves are really interesting. I'm really wanting to know the backstories for G.I. Robot, which I believe I'm supposed to get in episode 3 that I haven't watched yet.
Like, I feel like I wouldn't be watching this show if it wasn't directly connected to the new DCU or DCU. I've gotten so used to saying DCEU.
Now it's I feel like I would be watching it either way. Well, I'm going to go home and watch the next episode because I really enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the episode. Did you enjoy it? Are you excited for the next episode? Do you think Aaron's a loser, a bummer, an idiot?
Some may say.
I've heard it both ways.
Welcome to Backseat Directing,
where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
We put out new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And today we're talking about the DCU's first project, Creature Commandos.
3, 2, 1, action.
The DCU, not the DCEU, but the DCU,
renamed,
is finally here with its first official released project under the new regime over at DC. And that is an animated project. Interesting, right?
Yes.
And the show is Creature Commandos, following a team of monster villains, kind of like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, as Amanda Waller points out in the first episode, they are very similar to the Suicide Squad, except Congress said that they could not use humans for their little project anymore over at Bell Rev, so they had to use all Inhumans. So the Creature Commandos, that's why they're dubbed creatures, because they're reanimated like the Bride, or they're monstrous or robotic with some kind of sentience like G.I. Robot. What's another good example? Nina Mazursky, she's like an amphibious person, so they're all not technically fully human. Weasel,
the Bride.
Human.
The Bride.
I said the Bride first.
Oh, did you? I heard the robot one, G.I. Robot. Yeah, the first 2 episodes dropped.
Also, sorry, but the big thing about this is technically, and I would be remiss if I didn't say this for Zach, this is the birth and start of the DCU. So this is the first project to actually be released under the DCU.
I literally just said that.
You did?
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
Are you like just messing with me right now?
No.
Because I said the Bride after you said the Bride?
No, I was looking at the IMDb when you said that. We're equally good at listening to each other.
I was like, what is he about to say? That Zach?
No, but I feel like that needs some like grandiosity to it. Like I
thought they did a good job.
Not enough to get attention.
I guess not. Man, well now it's super clear because the god of podcasts, Andrew DiCristina, laid it down for us.
No, but Zach was really excited about that. That's why he was bummed that he couldn't be here, because he wanted to be on this episode to talk about the start of something he's really excited about, the new DCU under James Gunn. And I think it's been a strong start so far. I think it's a little strange to start with Creature Commandos instead of something like Superman or Batman.
Yeah.
But I still think that
it's also a TV show and animated.
Yeah. So, it's not down like the conventional pipeline of starting a cinematic universe that we've seen so far. But I do think it's really entertaining, enjoyable so far. What did you think of it?
Well, before we go into that, I want to touch on how me and you are trying to run an empire here, and we're very disappointed in Zach's tardiness on this episode. We really miss his presence here, and we're 3 ticks and he's out, and this is tick 1.
Oh man, he's on a strike system. He said he likes when his name gets brought up in the episodes, but he's not going to like this one.
I'm just kidding, Zach. Please come back.
He'll definitely listen to this one, but I am really excited to talk about it anyway. We'll have him back on, I'm sure, at some point. We've only got, at the time of this filming, we've only got 3 episodes released so far, out of a total of 7. Another kind of weird thing about
7?
this show that,
Oh.
yeah, I don't know why it's 7 episodes, because I feel like it's a lot more traditional to do 8 or 10, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, they're doing 7, so that's what we're gonna get.
So you asked what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm not as excited about it as you seem to be, especially how excited Zach seems to be. But before we dive in, what you liked, what I didn't like, and so on, I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for clicking on this video and watching this episode. We really appreciate it. Your view means everything to us, and if you want to stick around and you like what you see, please hit that subscription button and notification bell.
And also, if you want to get in on the conversation with us directly, you can join us at our Discord.
Boom. The Discord's a lot of fun. We talk about polls, other movies and shows. We do debates.
Yeah. And the link is in the description, but if for some reason it has expired by the time you see this, because it expires after a week, just hit us up in the comments or message us in our DMs. We'll send you the link to the Discord.
Boom. There it is. All right. This is a big deal, right? The start of the DCU. It's an interesting choice that it's being launched with a TV show, first of all. Second of all, it's animated, which we love animated shows and movies, but I think the mass population tends to lean towards live action.
Yeah.
And not only are those two things in consideration, it's also about a group of people that I'm imagining most have never heard of.
But that's, I think, where James Gunn really enjoys being.
It is cool.
He likes the weird characters.
It is cool that we're getting something new, right? Like that we're not just getting the same story over and over again, and we're getting introduced to new characters and all that. My problem with it is, why do I care?
Well, why do you care about any of these projects? You know, when you first started watching Batman, you didn't know who he was either.
Batman is a lot cooler than any of these individuals in Creature Commandos.
Why?
That's a good question.
Well, it's because you've developed this relationship with Batman where you see good stories and learn to love him and like him. So give these characters the same chance. And I mean, I'm not going to say that one day you'll like them as much as you like Batman, but at the onset of this, I probably felt more similar to you with the trailer, thinking, why are they starting here? Couldn't they put more time and resources into Batman and Superman and start off on that note? But I do have a soft spot for animation in general. And with the first couple episodes of the show, I've really, really taken to the voice acting. I mean, especially the main cast, their voices are so good. And then the characters themselves are really interesting. I'm really wanting to know the backstories for G.I. Robot, which I believe I'm supposed to get in episode 3 that I haven't watched yet, because I just watched the release of the 2 first episodes when they came out last week.
I watched all 3. Just want to put that out there
today.
We're doing the episode today.
Dr. Phosphorus, I think, is the other character, voiced by Alan Tudyk. So I'm really interested to learn about the characters. The world is really cool. The animation's been really strong, in my opinion. They've had really good cuts and transitions.
For me, the animation was good. Voice acting's good. Even the story is good. But the problem is I'm having a hard time getting invested. I feel like I'm almost being in a way forced to watch this stuff because it's connected to the greater universe, rather than I'm excited for the actual project to come out. You know, especially with Marvel, with how everything's transitioning right now, and we're doing an episode on the Marvel news and stuff that has come out recently. So you can check that video out if you haven't already. But there's been a lot of projects where it's hey, you don't really know these characters, but go watch this with the same excitement that you had towards Iron Man.
But only time. First of all, you don't have to necessarily have the same excitement because you don't have to buy a ticket, because most of us already have HBO Max. But also, I think what is really enjoyable about discovering these new characters, and only time will tell this as we go on, but I suspect that for something like this, although the animated stuff is going to be tethered to the live action, I think it'll be more of a fun Easter egg and less of the way you needed to watch Iron Man to understand Avengers.
And again, if it's just a fun Easter egg, why do I care? You know, like
Because it's a world, it makes it more like endearing and feel more real. Because that's what I loved about the first episode of the show is they're bringing up these new fictional locations from the DC universe. Like I think it's like Pokolistan or something. It feels more like I'm in the DC world rather than in our world because they're not in New York and all these like they're not in New York and Iraq and they're in Pokolistan. They're at Bel Rev. They're these fun fictional places. It feels like a step into the DC world, which is what I'm hoping that they move forward with.
just kind of feels like a cheap knockoff of the Suicide Squad, and it kind of is, in a way.
I mean,
And like I feel like I wouldn't be watching this show if it wasn't directly connected to the new DCU or DCU. I've gotten so used to saying DCEU.
Now it's I feel like I would be watching it either way. Like, I mean, did you didn't finish watching Batman Caped Crusader, did you?
No.
I mean, that's something with Batman, and you didn't feel like finishing that.
Exactly. So if I'm finishing something with not finishing something with one of my favorite superheroes, why am I tuning in
My point is that it comes
to this project that doesn't have my favorite superheroes, but it's still connected to the same world?
It comes down more to story over everything. It's like story over character. And you said that this has an interesting story. So you stop watching Caped Crusader.
It's good. Like it's done well. But I don't know if I'm invested in it. Does that make sense? Like I feel like you can admit that something's good even if it's not something that you're enjoying.
Yeah, like Banshees of Inisherin. But sorry, McNeil. But you can. I don't know. The style of it is just my style. Like I like bloody animated stuff because I feel like when it comes to superhero content, fantastical stuff, whether it's Arcane, Invincible, the Spider-Verse, like they can do anything when it's animation. They can get super creative. The fight between Dr. Phosphorus and Rick Flag is really cool. It would have been a little more challenging. Well, challenging in a different way to do in live action. I just really like the way that they can do whatever they want. And it doesn't have to be as tricky with camera tricks and CGI and stuff. I can be more invested. I know some people are less invested in animation, but I just really love this kind of animation, especially when they make it specifically for adults and make it R-rated.
Yes.
There's all kinds of content. They're taking full advantage
I do really like that.
Yeah, it's not. And the show's not just bloody, but there also was sexual content already in the show. So it's like we talk about with Blue Eyed Samurai. It's like they're not middling. They're not towing the line. They're stepping 2 feet into making it an adult show, and I feel like that's really cool because it's a rarity. Because so much of animation is mostly for kids.
Right. Yeah, I do appreciate that it's directed for adults. That is refreshing in a way. For like a main DC project.
It's dark. And it's also I found it really funny so far too. I love how G.I. Robot is like, are you a filthy Nazi? Yeah. I love the tonality to his voice. You know who voices G.I. Robot?
Yeah, it's Sean Gunn, right?
Dude, how many characters is Sean Gunn about to play in the DCU? Sean Gunn already has 2, and James Gunn's only directed 2 things so far in the DCU, which he's gonna have directed not Man of Steel, but Superman. But the 2 things that have been out are The Suicide Squad and Creature Commandos, and now Sean Gunn already has 2 roles in them.
And what's his name? John Cena's character,
Peacemaker.
He directed that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So
3, but because that's staying.
So of the 2 things, we've already gotten 2. 3 things, we've already gotten 2 Sean Gunn characters, so it's gonna be like the multiverse.
Was Sean Gunn not in any of the other ones? Was he not in the Suicide Squad or in Peacemaker?
No, he was in the Suicide Squad. He was Weasel, which is his character.
Yes.
But
was he anything else in Peacemaker?
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah. But I think we're
probably the Eagle.
We're gonna get this. He was voicing the Eagle. We're gonna get a whole multiverse of Sean Guns. It's just gonna be like the Council of Sean Guns.
Yeah.
Like I think it'd be funny if he popped up like a bunch more times. I wouldn't even mind it if that was just like the new Stan Lee cameo for the DCU. Sean Gunn in like different roles.
That is
voicing like a puppet or like a CGI monster.
That is funny.
But I think he's genuinely doing a strong job with his voice acting. But let's talk about the rest of the cast now that we're already mentioning names. So we have Indira Varma as Bride of Frankenstein, Alan Tudyk as Dr. Phosphorus, Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., Sean Gunn as G.I. Robot and Weasel, Zoe Chow as Nina Mazursky, David Arbor as Frankenstein, Maria Bakalova as Princess Ilana, and Anya Chalotra as Cersei, and then we have the incomparable Viola Davis returning for her role as Amanda Waller. I love all these voices. I think my favorite is Indira as the voice of Bride of Frankenstein. It just has a really smooth quality. The British accent, it just audibly feels really good to listen to. It's like ASMR. Um, but I'm not a big fan of David Arbor's voice, and I was curious to know what you thought about it.
I didn't think anything like it didn't stand out to me in any one way or another.
I just wish that in my mind, the voice of Frankenstein sounds deeper and bassier, like a little bit of gravel to it. Like I think he should sound scarier in a way. You know, that classic Frankenstein, no fire. Like his voice is.
That's not it. That's not it.
That's not it. But I've workshopped it for 2 seconds. But I
Give me something a little more.
I like the casting. No, I like the casting of David Arbor. I think he's a good cast for it. I actually think his natural voice sounds deeper than the voice he's doing for Frankenstein. Like his voice, just in Stranger Things, I think sounds better.
Well, how deep is someone's voice when they're crying?
He's not. I mean, he's not crying the whole time he's talking.
I need love.
I think it's cool. It looks like that they're gonna do episodic, arcs on the backgrounds of the character. Like episode 2 was the bride's background. I'm sure we'll get the next one I saw in the trailer for it. Looks like it's going to be for GI Robot, and I'm sure we'll get Dr. Phosphorus, Nina Mazursky.
So let's dive into the story a little bit. So you do like how each episode they're continuing the main story, but then they're flashing back to one of the members' backstories.
Yeah, because I feel like each of the characters is interesting enough that I want to know what's going on in their past. If I thought there was only 1 or 2 characters that I liked, then that style would bother me. But every character I think has a cool character design, and they look like they're interesting enough in their monstrification that I wonder where it came from and what their background is. I'm really excited for GI Robots because I think so far he might be the character I like the most. He's made me laugh the most.
Well, you should watch episode 3.
That
one is about.
Yeah, I saw the little trailer at the end of the episode, but I think that he's really interesting. I want to know like how much of like quote unquote soul is inside the robot. So hopefully that episode touches on it. You've already seen it, but I haven't.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the flashback every episode for each individual cast member. I feel like I'm not attached to these characters. I was going to say people, but they're monsters. Creatures. I'm not attached to these creatures as much, where I'm not really interested in like what's going on in the past yet, because I'm not invested in them at the future. And I get that like maybe you can fall in love with them more knowing like their backstory, but then it just feels like I'm watching the first episode over and over again rather than like we're actually like getting this story going,
It depends on how they fold it in, so I'll have to judge it more as I go along. I think it was in episode 2 it was folded in well. It made sense because she was going somewhere to accomplish something.
They did a good job like production wise and writing wise of setting it up, but for me I feel like it's kind of taken away from the momentum of the story. Because we're taking so much time to focus on GI Robot in this 3rd episode that now it's been even more time since I've seen some of the other characters. I feel like I'd want them all to work together and learn their personality together a little bit more, with maybe 1 or 2 of them being the focus. And then over time, we learn more about them, kind of leaving the mystery there. That way, I'm not sitting there watching a full episode about a character that I'm not invested in 100% yet. Does that make sense?
And the 2 episodes I watched, I felt like they did a good job balancing the characters. I felt like everybody had screen time. Dr. Phosphorus had his fight. The other one not getting a ton of screen time is more of a background character is Weasel, which is fine with me because I don't really like or care about Weasel very much. I think he's meant to be more of a background character. He doesn't speak.
Yeah, that's how it was in the 3rd episode too.
But I mean, Princess Alana even gets a decent amount of screen time. She has a developing relationship with Rick Flag Sr., who he gets a good amount of screen time in lines. I feel like everyone seemed to have a good amount of screen time despite the flashback, which gave us a lot of the bride and Frankenstein's introduction.
So you're liking the story?
I'm liking it a lot.
Seems like you're liking the show quite a bit.
Yeah, no,
more than I thought you would be.
I think it's really
based on your excitement before, like during the trailer and stuff.
See, I really love DC and the DC universe. I think DC to me is the stronger of the 2. I prefer it to Marvel. That said, I also didn't finish Batman Cape Crusader. because I just wasn't enjoying it. Even though I love Batman, I love DC. Like the story still has to be there. Story still has to be strong, and I'm really enjoying this world. It's really colorful. I think the animation is really good. The fight sequences are super smooth, and I love the character and world designs. I think Pocolistan looks really cool. They're in castles. They're in Frankenstein's mansion. Like it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. All your points that you're making, I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. But I'm just not into it.
The music is great. The musical montage they did of Bride running from Frankenstein's monster through the years.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one at like the end of that episode too, right? I think maybe that was
there was more. There's been more than one. Yeah.
Where do you want to go from here?
What's your favorite character? I know you're kind of dogging the show a little bit, but let's talk about what you like about it.
Rick Flag seems
boring.
cool.
Boring. I knew as soon as I asked, and you went, I knew you were gonna say Rick Flag Sr. I totally knew it. Boring piece of shit.
Why is that boring?
Because he's the only one that's just a guy. The rest of them are cool creatures. He's the commando. The rest of them are the creatures.
So why isn't that cool?
I mean, Dr. Phosphorus can like shoot radioactive energy at his hands. Nina can breathe underwater. Like he can shoot a gun.
And he gets the girl.
He can bag ladies. That's his one suit. He's got the Sokka powers.
Yeah, they estimated 30 seconds.
That was the hardest I laughed of what I've seen was when he was like, "You're right. He's an older man. Got a lot of experience. Give him a full minute. Give him a full minute." I thought shit was so funny. You've seen The Princess. He couldn't possibly last longer than that. But yeah, they're really digging in on the R rating, which I appreciate.
Yes,
is really strong. I really love G.I. Robot's voice, Nina's voice, and the Bride's voice a lot. But I think that Frank Grillo is doing a really good job as Rick Flag Sr.
Mm-hmm.
Like
something that's interesting about this is that these characters could show up into the live action versions with the same casting, which would be pretty cool.
Have Maria Bakalova show up as Princess Alana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's a cool concept, to have the same actor, actress playing the character across different mediums.
Makes it harder to cast them in animation, for sure.
Yeah, it does.
Did you?
They got to look the part.
Did you see that James Gunn posted the behind-the-scenes video of Maria Bakalova and Frank Grillo doing their recording for their sex scene?
No.
He posted a video of them like making out with their hand and like moaning and making sounds and stuff.
Yeah, those always have to be pretty awkward.
Yeah.
Whether you're by yourself in a studio recording, or probably even worse if you're on set doing it.
Yeah,
in front of the whole crew.
From what I've seen, it looks like everybody's recording individually for this. I don't think anybody's in the same room.
I think that's pretty common.
Pretty standard industry practice. The only one that I was impressed that did it differently was Invincible. At least for season 1, they had a decent amount of filming between Debbie, Mark, and Omni-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So Sandra Oh, Stephen Yeun, and J.K. Simmons filming actually together in the room because they have so many conversations together. And to make it more natural and responsive to what the person actually said in their actual tone.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really cool. I wish that more stuff would do that.
The thing that you risk with that, though, is one of the main characters in your cast falling in love with their co-host, but the co-host not being interested at all. Something you got to be careful for.
I'm sorry I hurt you. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I don't know how many I've apologized again and again.
Not what I was talking.
I literally
not what I was talking.
I can't do any more than say I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't love you the way that you love me.
You could have just kissed me already.
I'm not trying to get a rash on my upper lip.
What about your lower one? Anyways.
You subtweeting Spider-Man right now?
Yeah.
Shamik Moore?
Yep. That was so funny. It was on my TikTok.
Yeah, the memes were hilarious.
All right. I don't know what else to ask because I'm not.
You don't, because I don't give a shit about this show.
I don't care.
Dude, Zach's going to be so disappointed in you.
I know. That's why I didn't want to do this episode without him. So he can
defend it.
So he can be all excited and talk to you, and I can just be over here being the producer.
I can't believe you thought I was going to hate on it. You're like, if I don't like it, surely Andrew's going to hate on it.
I didn't think you were going to hate on it. I didn't know if you would have this level of excitement about it. I feel like you're also not jumping out of your seat like you were for Invincible or Arcane or
it's
Blue Eye Samurai.
Yeah, I wouldn't quite put it up there yet, but I've also only seen 2 episodes. I don't think it'll reach that level of like storytelling and
Yeah,
visuals.
that's another thing that I'm just coming off of watching Arcane, you know, and that was a 10 out of 10 show, and now I'm going to this, and I'm not as excited as for these characters. So it's just not the same.
You should have watched it with the 2 of us because you could have rode the wave of our excitement.
Yeah, that would have been
watching it.
That would have been more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I was out of town. Sorry.
Ridiculous.
I know. I can't help it.
Now Zach's out of town, and then next week I'll be out of town, and so that's the earliest
we'll never see each other.
The earliest we could get together to watch an episode would be episode 5.
Dang, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna try.
It'll be the day after Christmas, I think, or possibly Christmas Day. So might not work out.
Or maybe they'll push it and not have one come out during Christmas.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
Sometimes they do that.
Yeah,
but everyone's at home. Like personally, I would just let it come out.
Yeah.
Everyone's
It's not like a
everyone's at
family
work.
show, you know, that you're watching at Christmas.
Put the kids to bed. It's time to watch Creature Commandos. Well, I'm going to go home and watch the next episode because I really enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the episode. Did you enjoy it? Are you excited for the next episode? Do you think Aaron's a loser, a bummer, an idiot?
Some may say.
I've heard it both ways.
Yes.
A bum and an idiot. No, but we really appreciate you guys clicking on this video like we said at the opening. Thanks so much. Please make sure you hit that like button, the notification bell,
Ding!
and the subscription button as well. Helps make sure you stay in touch with our stuff and make sure you don't miss anything. So we do put out 2 episodes a week, every Monday and every Thursday, sometimes some extra content as well. We've got a cool Christmas challenge that's going to be coming out on the channel soon where we shot our own little scenes themed around the holidays, and it'll be one of our special episodes.
Yeah, we're excited for that. We mentioned earlier in this episode about the Discord if you want to join. I think we mentioned it earlier in this one.
We did.
It's kind of blending together at this point. But yeah, that Discord link is in the description below. Again, if you click on that link and it doesn't let you in because it expired, just leave a comment and we'll send it to you directly so you can get in and become our best friend.
Yeah. Instant best friend pass.
Yes.
And we have a limited time discount for the holidays where it's 100% off and completely free. Gotta get that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys. We really appreciate you. You can find us on all of our social media pages every day. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, all over the place. Make sure to check us out there, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap.